Yo, this your boy Dolie Fiyez, and as always, I keep it gutter. I'm gonna make sure the people in the trenches get exclusive knowledge on whatever they need to, catapult themselves up out the hood and out the ghetto. So today we're going to be talking about branding and networking, whether you're in the rap game or whether you just starting your own, label or business. With the spread of the pandemic, a lot of black people have really, committed to starting their own business, whatever. So I got two great guests, Chandler Finley and AHMAND Johnson, here to bring us the real on how to navigate through, branding, networking, and also the music industry. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce my people, man. They really, looking out for me to come on today and salute to the trenches, man. Enjoy. Yo,
All right.
what's going on, man?
Oh,
Glad to have you guys on. Chandler, AHMAND. Welcome to the People versus the Trenches. And for starters, I like to with Chandler, just give you a brief background on your studies and who you are to Palm Beach County.
yeah. Well, I've been in Palm Beach County and all over South Florida. Born in Miami, grew up in Palm Beach County. Started doing music, entertainment with the guys in the trenches in Riviera Beach, all that kind of stuff, and got into the Latin flavor down in Miami.
Okay.
And looking to help out everybody we can. People in the trenches got to get out and got to get the music and make it.
Make
That's
it
it.
really happen. Yeah, well, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're here for. And AHMAND, let the people know, man.
Hey, first of all, thanks for having me. One moment, I apologize. My phone.
It's all right. It's all right. It's the trenches, man. We used to all that type of stuff.
Exactly. So, AHMAND Johnson. I'm originally from Rochester, New York. I've been down here in South Florida since about 2006. I currently head up the sports and entertainment practice for an international law firm. I've been doing music representation since about 2003 when I was in law school. I ended up clerking at a pretty prominent boutique law firm at the time. So I've been doing music representation ever since, in addition to a lot of intellectual property work, which definitely intersects with the topic today, given that we're discussing branding.
Okay, that's dope. So my first question would to be to Chandler, like I came to you back in the days in 2004 with the idea of starting a record label, Straight Gutter Records, Recyard Records, and you gave me the game. You really schooled me on how to navigate. But the game has changed since then. Far as branding, far as just saying copyrights, can you just give me a little bit of details on how the game is now when it comes to rappers just trying to brand themselves and get themselves out there? What was one of some of the key things that you can discuss?
Right. Well, before we used to have all this record label business where you had to have a record label or get a recording contract and that kind of stuff. You got to have a company. Remember, you still got records. I think
Yeah,
you still register with the state now after all these
yeah,
years.
yeah.
It's a good name. And, you had to create the corporation, create the business, and basically get out there and spend some money to do recordings and then promote it, get hooked up with the record labels and that kind of stuff. But today it's very different. You get out on social media, you produce your own stuff in your home, on your iPhone, on your HD camera, you make the videos and you get it out there. It's more direct. You don't have to really, some ways, spend so much money on doing companies and agreements, all that kind of stuff up front. Even copyrights, you'll say copyrights, the Supreme Court basically said you don't need to file copyrights anymore. You're copyrighted, you're protected because it's out there on the stream. Anything that's published out there. Now, of course, the lawyers will tell you that you want to have a copyright anyway, so you got an agreement, you got the actual document that helps you, protects you in the future. If you got to go after somebody, you just got to have it registered so you can do that.
Hmm.
And still copyright. The copyrights are not so expensive. It's online now also, and you get those things done.
Okay, so
Uh,
what are some of the places that people can go to actually get I know about BMI and ASCAP. Do they
yeah, right.
yeah, Do they have new ones now, or anything like that, or was it still those two?
You're on mute. I'm muted.
You muted?
I apologize. If I could
There you
jump in and make a distinction real quick. So a couple of things. I definitely agree wholeheartedly with what Chandler said. I think the big difference now is the direct access for the creator. And so that definitely changed the game. The other thing that changed the game is the fact that there's no more physical packaging, right? And so that took away the industry accounting, which took away a very big income stream for the record labels. And that kind of forms the basis for the deals that they have now, which is basically meant to recapture some of that revenue that they lost from being able to do that fuzzy math with that accounting by charging you for the packaging and all of that other stuff with the physical copies. Now, as far as the copyrights go, Chandler is exactly right. Once you put something out in the marketplace, you automatically have a copyright or a trademark. That's what some folks don't understand. However, he is also right in saying that the lawyers like me will tell you to take what we would call the belt and suspender approach. And basically what that means is that I would also bolster that common law copyright with a registered copyright. And the reason why is that registered copyright will afford you more remedies in the event that you have to enforce that copyright. And what I mean by that is, Dolie, let's say that someone infringes upon your copyright or on your trademark, and you come to me, that's your common law copyright or trademark, and you come to Chandler and you say, hey guys, we have an infringer here. I need you to go ahead and enforce my intellectual property rights, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to hand you a retainer and say, sure, Dolie, here you go ahead and sign this and fork over a check for X amount of dollars, and we're going to go and get this infringer, right? And so then we go get the infringer, and we can tell the infringer two things. Hey, knock it off, right? Which in legal parlance is called cease and desist. Right. And then you can say, hey, man, run me all that bread that you made from infringing on my intellectual property. And that in legal parlance, we call that disgorgement. Right. So now the only downside is that you had to pay Chandler or myself in order to do that. You don't get that money back. Right. Now, if you have a scenario where that person infringed and you simply want him to stop and he didn't make any money off of that, then you're out the money that you paid your
Mute again.
I don't know. It keeps automatically muting me, but so now let's take the. I guess that means that I talk too much, right?
No.
So let's take the alternative, right? Let's say you go ahead and register that mark. Now you have a whole different scenario because you have a different set of remedies, right? Not only can you say, "Hey, knock it off." Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you now straight.
Okay. Not only can you say, "Hey, knock it off," and run me all of the bread that you made from infringing on my mark. Now you can say, oh, by the way, my very esteemed counsel, Chandler and AHMAND, they charge me X amount of dollars. So go ahead and pay them the X amount of dollars that I owe them. Oh, and by the way, there's statutory damages under federal law for each time that you've infringed. So go ahead and run me my bread for those statutory damages, right? So now you have more remedies available to you that will afford you more money. So you know, if you're trying to thug it out, so to speak, and you know you're on a tight budget and you just want to get your stuff out there and know that you have some level of protection, then you're perfectly fine with just putting it out in the marketplace. And at that point, you have common law protections. But to the extent that you're able to, if you have the funds and the resources to do so, I would definitely suggest going ahead and registering it. Now, one of the other things you talked about, which is a little bit different from that, you mentioned BMI, which is a PRO or a performance rights organization. They also relate to your intellectual property rights, but it's a little bit different, right? What they do is they make sure that they collect all of the monies due you for every time your song is played, right? Now, you don't have the ability to go to every bar, restaurant, radio station, club, stadium that has a concert and make sure that your song is make sure you're compensated for every time your song is played, right? However, BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC have a vast network of folks that they deal with, and they're able to easily go and collect those monies. And what they usually do is they collect that by way of group licensing. So they'll go to a bar that has a certain amount of televisions, that plays a certain amount of music, and says, hey, listen, we know that we happen to know that you're playing songs that are owned by a couple of the artists that are in our repertoire. So we're going to go ahead and make you pay this license every year so that we can pay these guys for the amount of times that we estimate that you play their songs, right? And so that's the purpose of a BMI and an ASCAP and a CSAC. Those are PROs, or performers' rights organizations, and they collect your monies for certain revenue streams that deal with folks playing your song.
Right. So the question that a lot of hip hop rappers always ask me is, do they have to register with every PRO, or can they register with more than one?
Well, so you can register with more. Well, you can register with more than one, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to, because here's why. You're going to end up, it's redundant, right? You're going to end up getting the same protection from just dealing with one. Now, here's what else happens. Once Dolie puts out his music and he, moves 1 million units, right? Whatever PRO he's with is going to come to him and say, hey, man, we really like you. We want to keep administering your songs because we collect a small percentage on all of the revenue that you get. So we don't want to miss out on that revenue. So, hey, here's a check that we'll give you to entice you to stay with us. Or here's some money that we'll fork over for you to build your studio so you can continue making these songs. And we'll just call that an advance on money that we know that you're going to end up providing us for administering your music. So what happens is, once you reach a certain level of success, you can leverage that relationship with the PRO to gain more money to further your career. And so, for that reason, it makes more sense to try to cultivate a relationship with one and demonstrate your value to one, because then you can leverage that into, some resources that they might provide you later on down the road.
Right.
So, like with trademarking, it doesn't just stop like with music. Just say like me with People versus the Trenches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, there's a lot of Black people, people in general, just open up businesses as of late, and to get their business trademark and the logo. Can you explain the difference between having the logo trademark and the name trademark?
Man, that's a great question. You must have taken some intellectual property courses or something, man. Like, okay, all right. So, the two things that you discussed are the logo and the actual name, right? So the legal term for the logo is called the design mark, and the legal term for the name is called the word mark, right? So what you would do is, when you establish that business, if you wanted to register those marks, you would go to the USPTO website and you register a trademark. It costs about $350 per international class, right? Now, international class is the category that alerts the public as to what types of goods and services, or as to what you're going to be using those goods and services in conjunction with. So, for instance, if you were a record company, right, you would want to register it in class 9 and class 41, one of them for live entertainment and the other one for actual mechanical records, even though we know mechanical records are kind of obsolete now. Those are the two categories you would register. If you were using it in conjunction with clothing, there would be a separate international class for that. I believe, off the top of my head, I think it's either class 25 or 21. That's for apparel, apparel and hats and whatnot. So for each category you can use it in, there's a specific international class that puts the world on notice as to the category of goods and services you're using that name in conjunction with. And so what ends up happening is, let's say you have a podcast and you also have a music venture, the People versus the Trenches, right? Now, that would stop someone from using anything confusingly similar to that in those same fields. However, if someone wanted to use that mark in a totally different field, right, your use of that mark in conjunction with podcasts and music might not necessarily stop them from doing so, right? In those cases, what you would typically want to do is have someone oppose their mark if it's in the process of being registered, or try to cancel their mark if you can prove that your use predates theirs. So basically, to circle back and make sure that I answered your question, what you would do is you would go to the USPTO and you would register either your logo, which is called a design mark, and or your actual name, which is your word mark, with the USPTO. and it would cost about $300. The hard cost would be about, if you did it yourself, would be about $350 per international class.
So, damn, that's game right there that you just gave us. That's really
right. So and so you understand also that I want to make sure that your name, Rec Yard Records or whatever you're promoting, it's either going to be on your hat or you're putting on an album or it's in the music. Each one of those is a different registration, and that's what's important. And if you see someone else, using your name, or you heard a movie and you heard your song in the movie, all of a sudden, hey, I never gave them those rights. That's what then you gotta follow up and get compensated, to get paid for that in some way. And if they're using a registered trademark or a registered copyright, then you got certain payback, certain damages, we call it, that you can go after them and tell them to stop it, or they're gonna have to pay you. Because if the movie's already made, they can't take it out of the movie. That means they got to pay you for it now.
Yeah.
Right?
For real. So with y'all two, that's a squad. Like, y'all like Johnny Crocker and his gang, you know what I'm saying? They see y'all two coming through. We gonna make sure, for real. So my next question is, being that both of y'all are representing artists here in Palm Beach County, I would like to know, like, what do you see is the problem? Because I've been rapping for years or whatever, and nobody from here has really blown or really blew like we want them to. What do you guys think is the major thing that's stopping Palm Beach County from being on that level, as opposed to like a Fort Lauderdale or Miami when it comes to hip hop?
You wanted to take that first, Chandler?
I don't know if I can. Maybe you'd be better at that one. I'm out of that market right now.
Well, I would say that it's just a matter of time. I can point to a case study close to home to kind of illustrate that, right? So I'm from Rochester, New York originally, which is a city in upstate, capital U, upstate New York, between Buffalo and Syracuse. Buffalo is the city about 45 minutes to an hour away. So Rochester and Buffalo are akin to, let's say, West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale, right? Mm-hmm. And so we had never had anyone come out of upstate at all. And then most recently, you have these guys from Griselda that are just, killing it right now. So really, it's not that there wasn't talent there. It's just that sometimes it's just a matter of time before that talent breaks through and folks start to recognize it. And typically the first way that happens is that artist is able to build a grassroots following, right? And so what ends up happening is, I think that because of the fact that right now Miami and Fort Lauderdale are dominating the scene, those folks in Palm Beach are going to be more apt to follow acts from that area. But once you get to the point where you have an artist or two that can get that grassroots following in Palm Beach, and then ultimately the rest of South Florida will follow, someone's going to notice them. Right. And someone's going to put them in a position to be upstreamed, so to speak. Upstreamed is the legal term for, or the industry term for, when someone is furnished to a big record label like Sony, Universal, Columbia, or something like that. Ultimately, they'll come across someone who's going to find them and put them in a position to be upstream. What I would say is that in the past, there have been a couple of folks that have had the potential to do that. Unfortunately, one of them that we spoke about ended up falling victim to the street life. But again, I think it's just a matter of time. I'm absolutely sure that there's talent there, and it will be found. And the number one way that you do that is by building a grassroots following, and the way that that's reflected is in your YouTube views, in your streams. So basically, folks are going to look to see what type of impression is being made on the public by way of the numbers that folks are doing by YouTube, by Spotify, etc. So that's the first step. And the second step is, they're going to have to, quote unquote, see it, is how most folks who scout this talent say. Basically, they're saying they need to be able to understand how that would fit into the framework of what's popular right now. So basically, man, I think it's just a matter of time. And the number one thing that folks in Palm Beach can do is support their local artists, amplify their local artists, so that other people start to take notice, and you go from that grassroots following to a broader following that will then allow them to be discovered on a larger scale. Because listen, man, West Palm Beach is no smaller than Buffalo.
Yeah.
And it's a lot closer to a major city than Buffalo is, because, you know, New York City is a lot farther away from Buffalo than Miami is to Palm Beach.
So Chandler, being
No.
that, you know, I must say that for the people that don't know Chandler, he was the one that spearheaded the group Modern Tragedy and tried to get them out there. So to the old school players that's watching this, big salute to him, because
Right.
you know, when I first went in his office and I seen the pictures of, you know, those idols that I looked up to back in the days as an up and coming rapper, to know that he was linked to them and the stories about that, you know, that was real dope to me. So, Chandler, what would you say about, like, you know, just going through that process of having the act in your hands and it fall, you know, like that? How did that, you know?
Right. Well, you know, back then, of course, it was finding a record label that was willing to promote you and put some money into what they believed, and they'd sign you to a contract, and you'd be bound to them to pay all that money in advance money, which is fine if they're going to share it with you and get some money, get going. But these days, you know, it's promotion. Ahmand is right about getting the grassroots and everything, but somehow at some point you got to get the promotion. I know a lot of people hit the clubs late at night. You know, usually you can get the DJ to play your songs at 2 or 3 in the morning, get some money on the stage and get people to listen to your songs and get it on the street. You know, you see the vans going around, you see people doing concerts and stuff, trying to get a grassroots following. But it all comes, I mean, to me, it all comes down to promotion. How do you get everything, if it's not on social media only, how do you get it promoted on the street? And that sometimes it takes money to get your song on the album. There's still a lot of promotion with radio contacts and people getting on the radio, getting on the, you know, YouTubes and all that kind of stuff. You gotta pay to get the video done. Video is really important for anyone getting started. They got to have a video. They got to create videos, and someone's got to promote that. Someone's got to pay for that. Someone to pay for doing the video, and then get it on streaming it down. You know, sometimes you see a lot of artists coming in with a lot of money, and they're out for a week or two, and all of a sudden you never hear from them again. They're gone. So you get that a problem that happens all the time. There's no staying. They didn't make a plan. So, you know, that's an issue. For me, it's always promotion. You know, getting someone that's grassroots already, getting them, you know, getting them upstream. But you got to get it promoted first, getting it out on the ground first.
So, with that being said, you know, being a rapper myself, I would like to know the ear to have difference between a hit and a song. You know, because a lot of these guys out here, you know, me myself, I can be in the studio, I just one this hit, man, but it don't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Is it the fact that promotion don't do it, or is it that it's really not a hit? It's just a good song.
Here's what I would say. I would say that back in the day, so to speak, I would have a lot more confidence in the fact that there was a such thing as having an ear for talent. I think that's a lot that's the case a lot less now. Right now, there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to you know, what makes a hit, and to the extent that there is, I think that I've aged out of having that ear. Right? If you think about someone like Doja Cat, right? Moo, I'm a cow. Right? I would think that would be a hit. Ultimately, what it comes down to is anything that is catchy enough to take off on a platform like TikTok or YouTube, which basically caters to a soundbite type culture, right, is going to ultimately give rise to that level of fame. Because basically, you know, again, staying with Doja Cat, basically what happens with her is she makes that whimsical, basically, you know, parody song. And then for whatever reason, you know, it takes off, and then someone recognizes, okay, well, this person has the bare minimum to make it in the industry. And at the point that you have that, you put the machine behind that person with the bare minimum, and all of a sudden you have a superstar. And so that's basically what it is today. Unfortunately, in some of the more traditional lanes of rap, the formula tends to involve some level of demonstration of street cred and, you know, waving guns in a video and whatnot. You know, I have my mixed feelings about that. But ultimately, it just comes down to whatever takes off on one of those platforms for whatever reason. And, you know, to the extent that someone can predict that, is going to be a much younger person. And I think that's one of the bigger shifts that's taking place in the industry, because, you know, back in my day, you know, we'd always talk about the OGs and stuff like that. Now, you know, everything is being led by the much younger generation.
Yeah. So when it comes to, you know, just say we rappers and we doing our thing. Now, when it comes to trademarking and the filing fees, the actual charge of getting legit, like with you guys, if someone come to you guys, is there a setup to where, because everybody don't have the throwaway money to pay for that, you know? So is it like, do y'all work with people? Like, just say if it's $700, is it to where I can pay and $250 here to the, or is it like, hey man, have all your money at the,
nah, man, you come to my office. If it's a stack, man, don't come to me with $999.99. I need a stack. Nah, I'm playing.
Okay.
It's on a case-by-case basis, and folks are typically going to be willing to work with you. And it all depends on how you come across and to what extent they believe in your package. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, as lawyers, we're also businessmen, right? And we're in the business of repeat play. All right, so I don't want to do anything to the extent that I know that, you know, you're going to be a repeat player in your space to hinder repeat play between you and I. And at the point that I try to hit you over the head for a big fee the first time I see you, you know, I'm going to decrease the chances that we're going to be able to do business again. So I'm sure I speak for Chandler, who's definitely a consummate businessman in his practice, and saying that with entertainment clients and all clients, really, you try to find a way to work with them, as long as it's not something that's going to, you know, go totally against your business model or put you out to the extent that you can.
Right. You know, I'm a musician at heart. I play the violin and trombone ever since I was young. And I listen to the music, and if I hear it and I say, listen, I believe that is my ears to that tune, you know what? It only takes one artist and it takes one tune to hit a milestone. And that's all you got to do. You know, if we're willing to work with you, and you guys, you know, remember us and be loyal also, we're going to help you out, then you might make it, and we're going to be there with you on the way. You know, maybe I tell people, listen, you know, get the grassroots, get some publicity, get it on the street first, and then when you get some money, then you can register it. You know, you got to get some things going first. Maybe you don't have to register that all up front unless you know it's going to be a big hit. Mm-hmm. You know, so it comes a time when you can get some help. Maybe you need to put an agreement together for if you got a band, a group, make sure everybody knows who the songwriters are, who the manager is, who's the owner of the band. First, get something like that in writing first, maybe before you put the other stuff down, because that's where I see most of the problems. Is you got a group, they're working together, one guy is bringing in someone, featuring someone else, and then it breaks up. You know, unfortunately, they have a fight, and it's gone. Then, you know, the magic is not there anymore. People got to remember that sometimes it works better with two guys and two songs and putting music together.
Yeah, that's real. That's true. So when you guys came in, I like Chandler first, and then what was your dream as to being an entertainment lawyer? What was your goal? Like when you first envisioned yourself being an entertainment lawyer, what was your ultimate goal to achieve? I'd like to know that. Yeah.
Well, you know, my goal is to start out with someone. If they're already hit, fine. If not, let's bring them up and let's try to get there. I've paid for several. I've funded several first records of people going to the studios. Let's get it out there and see if it, you know, can really make it. Let's try that, and then, you know, sign them up and then see how you can promote them and get someone else interested in them. It's you know, as a lawyer, you're kind of also trying to do promotion. You're trying to promote your clients and get them to hit. my goal would be to see that happen one day, and from my office and going straight. I was lucky in the beginning. My first big client was a group called the Gypsy Kings down here in Miami. I started doing some work with them, and they were immediately going straight to Sony International and doing great big things. So I got picked up on that, and I started doing the entertainment and also international work with them because they were all over the place. But from that's a big spread when you're getting people starting out, like Modern Tragedy when we had them from the beginning. These were just guys from the street. You could see that they had really had good music. They had grassroots, and I wanted to promote them. I did everything for them to get them with a record label. We introduced them and got it going. Unfortunately, too many things like that happen these days. People you gotta stay alive and keep it going. That's what's important. If you stay around for a long time and you keep getting together other groups, it's gonna work. That's the key, man.
Just stay consistent. Just stay in the game. So how many years you have been in the game for a very long time? Like you don't rub shoulders with a lot of different people. What would you say is like the most important thing about like business on that level for us staying in the game? Like a lot of us want to stay in the game, but we don't know how to be in those rooms and when those conversations go on to kind of like not burn no bridges, but also know how to because it's that game is no different than the streets to me. It's really kind of probably like a little bit worse because you're playing with a lot of more money. So what would you think? What would you say would be something that keeps you kind of grounded?
Well, I was saying before, it's a money game. You can make, if you have someone promoted and put a lot of money into it, you can make them famous in a week. They can play their song 40 times, 50 times in one day on all the stations in Miami. And then the next week, nothing. You don't hear from them at all unless it did picked up. You got to have a long-term game, a long-term plan. And that does include grassroots and stuff. But if you want to go to the next level, you got to get some funds. You got to get some money in there and do the promotion on a long-term basis. Unfortunately, it is money that gets things going. Sure, you can get on TikTok and those things and make a little special ditty that goes all the way. All the songs like "Hoop There It Is" and all that kind of stuff. And then "Who Let the Dogs Out." Those are guys back in the days when Miami was around here, and those are little hits. Yeah, and they went a long way, and they're still around today. So if you get something like that, you get it again registered. Those songs have been sold several times on to different people buying it and promoting it. You got to look for something like that. If it's not, you just don't stop. It's your goal, your career. You got to keep going.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing on that is money. Money for sure helps, but it's not just money without more. I think it's strategically placed money, and also speaking to those rooms that you talked about. Attorneys like Chandler and I, that's what we deal with every day. However, I think that the best way for an artist to make I think the best way for an artist to ensure that they're able to navigate those rooms is to get a good manager, right? Get a good manager who's used to being in those rooms, who knows all of the folks that are going to be in those rooms, right? And they'll know the levers to pull and the buttons to press, and they'll also know where to place those funds. They'll know what platforms you need to be on. They'll know all of the the numbers that you need to hit. They'll know the formulas that the label is going to use to come up with those numbers. They'll know the type of bag that's at the end of the rainbow on that. So ultimately, the most important thing to me is getting good management, and that good management is going to come with money that is ultimately going to be strategically placed. Either a good management or, some folks who, end up getting discovered, they get signed to one of these gatekeepers, because now given that the record companies don't have the all of the revenue streams that they had before. They don't really want to spend money to develop artists, right? Back in the day, you get a bidding war between labels, to spend millions of dollars on a guy that you might not have ever heard of just off the strength of a demo. Those days are gone. You already have to demonstrate your viability in the marketplace. And then, the way that typically happens is you either sign with great management or you sign a production deal to someone who has money. And under that production deal, they'll have a shopping period of 12 to 18 months, let's say, to get you upstream. And if they don't, then you can go about your business. But ultimately, good management in conjunction with money, the management which is going to strategically place that money and strategically position you to win, that's ultimately what's most important in my opinion.
Okay, damn. That was some jewels you just dropped in. Speaking of money, what like as an independent artist, what's the average amount that an independent artist can look at spending to actually, get to the next level or just get in position?
It depends on the types of resources you have, right? A lot of times you're seeing some of these younger artists that come up from a certain neighborhood, and there's OGs in that neighborhood that have a little bread, and they'll invest that bread in the artist. Now, if you have resources or relationships with someone that has a studio, or you maybe got your own studio equipment, the dollar amount that it's going to cost is a lot less. So it really all depends, man. It's less about the dollar amount than it is the strategic placement, although the money is very important, right? You can't really have one without the other. So you can spend as little as $5,000, or you can spend as much as $50,000 to $100,000. I've seen scenarios on both ends and all between that spectrum. So it's really less about the amount of money you spend than focus.
Yeah, he cut off for a minute. You want to take it from where he was going to?
Yeah, well, it's you can spend a lot of money, but like you're saying, if you're not spending it in the right place, then it's just going to make you famous for a little bit and have no long-term effects. You gotta get people to get into your music, and a lot of times the videos, spending money on videos is probably a really good, because everything is now video, everything is visual now. You can't just upstream someone's song and say, "Oh, gee, I liked it." You got to see. So video is really important. If you think you got a hit, you got to spend that money on a good video. You get an HD camera and get a good stream. A video is probably, I don't know, maybe these days now everyone's doing it on their iPhone, even doing the videos on their iPhone now. So I can't say it costs much.
I paid $100.
Right, exactly. So produce a video maybe is, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 maximum these days to get really good, the best quality. Mm-hmm. But you don't need it. I mean, on an iPhone you can get it done. You just got to get someone to edit it and put it together for you. So it's not that much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything else to add to that, Mark?
That's pretty much it. I mean, the videos are important. The videos are going to get you signed more quickly than the song will. I don't know anyone that's gotten on like that without a visual that accompanies their song these days. But yeah, that's very important. Just to be able to, give a full picture of what you're bringing to the table and basically make a mark that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of the other thing is a lot of times the only other way I know to get in there is if you're featured with another artist. There's a lot of pairing up, and if someone has an artist or some label or some artist, and you can get in and know somebody, and they'll let you in on a new song, or you give them a song that you want them to sing with you. That's really a good way to get in. Get in from they'll feature you, and you're using their name, but you're getting all that publicity. So that's a great way to get in there.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of advise like to spend money. Just say you got like Kodak. If I'm an up and coming artist from West Palm Beach and I can pay Kodak for a feature, will you, as my attorney, say, "Hey man, that's a good idea," or do you do the research on where the song can go, or like the times, maybe it's not the time to invest in a feature with Kodak right now, or how much of that comes along?
Well, if you have the resources to do it, then it's think the danger comes when you're an up and coming artist. What typically happens is an established artist will get a request for a feature. They're going to tax you. They're going to hit you over the head for the largest fee possible. And they might not necessarily give you their best bars, so to speak. But, even still, it's a look, right? So there's a lot of guys, as Chandler said, who have gotten on based on those features, or who've already laid the foundation to blow. And then all of a sudden that feature takes them to the next level. So yeah, that's definitely a factor, but you have to really be mindful of the amount that you spend and what commitment you get from that person, right? Because you don't just want them for the song, you want them for the video as well. And also you want to make sure that, they're not just going to give you a half-ass effort on their verse. And I'm sorry, gentlemen, man, I would love to spend all evening talking about this. I'm gonna have to leave it over to Chandler now. I got to take my little jit to football practice right now.
Okay. So, really, I appreciate you.
Yeah, I love to join again whenever. Just let me know.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Big salute, man. I'm glad you out there being there for your soldier, your jit, man, making sure you handle up. And thank you for coming to the People versus the Trenches. I'll be glad to have you on. You were super supportive to what I got going on, and anything that you need me for, any platform, you can share my platform. Anything you got going on, just reach out to me, bro, and I got you.
All right, I appreciate it. It was a pleasure. Big up the People versus the Trenches.
Salute, bro.
That's
All
it.
All right. Yo.
All
right, Chan. Yeah, man. So we back, man. After a long stint, man, or whatever, we back, bro. Yeah, we made it back, man. So I like to just, man, thank you again for coming on tonight, man.
Absolutely.
And really linking me up with Ahmand and just seeing my vision and being supportive today, man. It comes from, from the bottom of my heart, brother. You knew my way back, man, and I'm just glad to still be here and still be connected and we can do our thing, man. So big salute. You want to give your business cards or anything you want to shout out?
Listen, you got my name. We are on the web. If you put my name out, Google it, my name, Ahmand's name, Entertainment Attorneys, you'll get us. I'm in West Palm Beach, well, in Wellington actually now, and in Miami. A lot of people know us on the streets from Ahmand too. I'm working with him now, so you got the real tag team up here. We're gonna get you the right managers, and probably we'll put some investment in you if we like what we hear. I've always done that. I've been willing to put a little bit in there and get people out on the street.
That's real.
And I don't mind going out there. The other night we went out to one of those strip clubs at 3 a.m. where we got the DJ put the song on. And he was out getting on the stage with the girls.
Yeah,
song out there, man. I don't know where it went after that, but it was a lot of fun. He said, that's the business. You got to get on the street, right?
Got to get on the street, baby. Got to get on the street, man. For real. Had Channel strip club hanging out, man. That's the way to do it, baby. Hang out.
That's it, man. That's how it goes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, I'm like I told Ahmand, man. Anytime any artist that you get and you want to bring on the People versus the Trenches to get them out there, man. My platform, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for the support, man.
Definitely. Salute to the people in the trenches, man.
Salute.
All
right. Yo.
See you later, Dorie.
All right, man. Be easy. Yo.
All right.
All right, sure, y'all.
Okay.
Thank everybody that tuned in and watched, the People versus the Trenches. Like I told y'all, I got us, I'm here. I'm out here in the streets, in the trenches, bringing y'all everything y'all need, whether it's today's topic or any other topics about what's going on in the community as a whole. So the voice of the people, Mr. People versus the Trenches, man, I got y'all. Big salute. Palm Beach County, stand up. Yo.